This is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and you are listening to Potsy and Tino on the Potsy and Tino Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Pots and Pans Network brings to you its tag team champions of the world, the Road Dogg Tino Gray, the badass Rob Potsy Potchak, the and Tino Show, our theme song, brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Wrestling Song. It's available on iTunes for 99 cents.
99. You know what?
Go ahead.
It was funny. So we're at the beach,
What's up,
right? Joe Lowe. So we were at the beach, and Christopher, my brother and I were watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and then Terry Crews. That's one of the things he goes. 9-9 when they talk about the nine, and I didn't put two and two together. I'm like, is that where I got that from? I always thought it was, and it might have been subconsciously where I got that.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. We haven't seen Joe Lowe in here in a while. Obviously, we normally don't do the show on Sundays, but you know, we were explaining over the last 2 weeks that Tino got his birthday party tomorrow night, so he's not going to be able to be here. I was thinking I might do the show anyway, like if we didn't end up having the show tonight, but if we're doing it tonight, I don't have to do the show tomorrow.
Yeah, I missed it last week. It was cool. Like I said, I felt bad if you had to do it 2 weeks in a row. I don't want to miss 2 weeks in a row. Oh, Jolo got your book.
Woo! Yeah. In fact, I was just getting ready to talk about it. You know,
cool.
I got my copies today, so it looks pretty good. Like how it actually printed and everything. It's 64 pages, so it's not a huge read or anything. The font size and everything is typical. So I mean, like for anybody looking for you know, regular, you know, not too long read that can, I think, be pretty helpful. You know, it's something cool there. In fact, I posted something on Facebook about it on Friday morning, right? And it was basically like, hey, it's now available. You know, you can order it either traditional, you know, a physical copy. You can order it if you want to actually own it. You can order it as an ebook through Kindle. Or, you know, it's even on Kindle Unlimited. So, like, you can just read it if you have the Kindle Unlimited service, right? So, so I posted on Facebook, and I said, okay, you know, I'm gonna boost my post with a little advertisement.
Hold on. You're pixelating. You sound like a robot. What just happened?
All right. Really?
Yeah, for that last little bit, you sounded like a robot. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Do I still sound like it?
No, it's good now. I don't know what happened.
That we just so everybody knows, Tino and I were talking about like why we think I get pixelated or whatever when doing the show, and I think it's because my internet trying to stream to both Twitch and like tonight I'm only doing it to two services. I'm doing it to Twitch and YouTube just to see if it holds up better than it had been over the past couple of weeks. You know, I'll say right now the only service I can get in my area is Spectrum. And it's terrible, and it doesn't ever get better. And I'm not going to pay extra money for it, but I am going to see if my router is actually getting me the top speed possible. Because tomorrow I actually get my new laptop. So
I was going to say, especially working from home, you need that. You need to have
internet. My internet for work is fine. You know,
okay.
you don't need high speed. Like I'm not. Like if I do have to be on a video call for anything, it's not for anybody important. Like it's for important people, but it's not for anything. Like I'm not customer facing, so I'm not talking to, you know, like so I'm only, you know, at max I'm talking to like the head of the Department of Health and Human Services for the state of Carolina. That's fine. Like if they don't see me, they don't have to see me. You know, like they can just talk to me. But anyways. The book is available, so I decided to boost the post a little bit on Facebook by giving it like a $10 ad, right? Just to see if I could, you know, help move some sales and move some units in it, and it moved some stuff, so that was kind of nice. But what I thought was funny, and you know, the book is called "Are You Sure You Want to Make Comics?" Right? And the reason why is because the question I get asked all the time at comic conventions is, "How did you get into it?" And then after "How did you get into it?" it's always it's always, hey, do you mind me asking you a couple questions about making comics? And I have no problems answering the questions or anything, but now I have a booklet that you can buy from me, and it'll give you all those answers, so you don't have to sit and talk to me for an hour to try to figure out what I'm trying to say, and I put in 64 pages. Anyway, on the
Ooh.
what?
No, I just read Joe Lowe said sorry because it ended up tearing my Achilles tendon and have surgery Thursday. God.
Ugh, yeah, that's not good.
Sorry, Joe.
You blew out your knee not too long
Yeah.
ago, so you know exactly what it's like to have a leg injury of mass proportions.
Yes.
So yeah, Joe, sorry to hear that. So anyway, what I thought was weird about this, is that multiple people actually gave it like an angry face.
What? Why?
That's what I don't get. Like, one, if you know who I am, you know that I'm always sarcastic. So it's meant to be a joke, right?
What did you say? I didn't hear what you said that they took as why they get? What did they give it a mad face to? What comment did you say?
No, it wasn't any, it was talking about the book.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Hey, the book is now orderable. Go ahead and go to, if you're actually thinking about making comics, go to the website, go to Amazon and order a copy. And it literally had two people give it angry faces.
Why?
But I don't know. They here are a couple things that I know for a fact. Okay, one, neither of them have bought a copy of the book. Two, neither of them have read the book, because obviously if they had read the book, they would know that the question is a serious question that I ask people. Are you sure you want to make comics? Because it's not an easy process. You have sat there and said, why do you still do it? Like, if it's not easy, why do you still do it? And it's because I love doing it and I'm willing to put in the hustle. And I think that when when people read this, I try to be positive in certain areas. I try to be, negative in the areas that it's negative. Like how long and how much of a hustle do you actually have to put in to try to make a name for yourself? If you're serious about it, right? And not to mention, printed formats are getting smaller. They're not getting bigger. The amount of people that can honestly earn a 100% living and just live off making comic books is very, very small. It's smaller than the amount of starting basketball players in the NBA.
Woo.
And that's about 150 people. So think about that. The amount of people that can actually earn a living in comic books is smaller than the 150 people that start in the NBA lineups.
That's scary.
The amount of people that are well off in comic books, you can probably put on two hands.
Really?
Yeah. So, and when I say well off, I mean, the people that have earned seven figures in comics. It's a very, very small number. Your Todd McFarlane's, your Jim Lee's, those guys. Those are the ones that have earned that. And then, of course, the one area that I really don't know very well, so I left that kind of alone. I do talk about crowdfunding of books in here, but crowdfunding is not really anything that I've done. So I didn't want to sit there and poo-poo on it or just not talk about it at all. So I kind of left crowdfunding alone. But interestingly enough, my buddy Danny Quick, who writes a comic book called Ace Blade, has kickstarted 8 issues of his book Ace Blade, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least 7 issues. He's getting ready to launch the 8th Kickstarter. And so I thought that his videos that he's been posting about what is a Kickstarter, why do you do Kickstarters, what is this all about, has been really insightful. So of course I linked him in that Facebook message, because I was like, if you really want to know about Kickstarters, talk to this guy, right? Everything else I can tell you, like, this is where the money comes from, this is where this is where what. So and yeah, Joe, I absolutely know that most of the stuff you get is that way, because you if I remember correctly, are not a huge collector of like these standard comic books that follow specific creators and everything else. And I appreciate you for that because you even said that you'd rather order our comic books off of our website because then we get fully paid on the comics versus what the distributor gives us for them. So I even appreciate that, and that is something that I discussed in the book. Anyways, Tino, I talked to everybody for an hour last week. You weren't here. Why don't you go over what's been going on with you, and if you wanna help give a little insight as to why we're so late tonight hopping on here. I'm sure the audience would love to hear about your return right after being at the beach all week.
So yeah, usually, in this time of the year, this week, we used to go to the beach for my birthday. My birthday's tomorrow. So we spent the week at the beach. I had a blast. We went from Saturday to Saturday, and it's just a relaxing, chill time. We were going to have a live show this evening. Uh, had family stuff. That's what I'll say. Had family stuff. Had to come back, and it was literally I left and I dropped my father-in-law off at the airport, and I was on my way to Rob's because we were going to do this in the same room. And I was literally turning into his neighborhood, and I got a call from the wife, and she's like, "I need you to come back home." So came back home. It's just having a teenage boy. We'll put it to that. So came back home. We handled everything's cool, and so we're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it this way now, which is still cool. I wanted to make sure that we got a show in because I knew we weren't doing it tomorrow because, like I said, tomorrow is my actual birthday, and I'll be doing family stuff, going to dinner and doing all that stuff. And Rob, he does the Tuesday, Wednesday thing, and then it'd have been Thursday, and by then I've been like, well, might as well wait again another week. So I said, well, why don't we just do it on Sunday? So that's what we're doing. This Sunday, so we're here doing this. My birthday's tomorrow. Not going to work. I put in for it all too. So I have an extra day after coming back from the vacation.
That's
Uh,
why you didn't mind starting this at 9:50.
so I ain't got to go to work tomorrow. so and so thank you, Jolo. And so I don't work tomorrow. Then next weekend starts my so every month you guys know that I go to Hickory every month, and usually on a Saturday, and we play a show with my buddy Chris down there. Well, I've been telling the owners of the bar that I play at, like, yeah, I DJ if you need me, you need me to DJ. So probably a couple months ago, I go, oh wait, you DJ? I'm like, yes, because what I've been trying to do, because going up on Saturday is cool, but it's like you go up, you do one show and you come back. It's kind of like a wasted trip. So now it's starting. I'll go Friday, I'll DJ at that same bar, and then Saturday I'll go back and play the bar, so I can leave my stuff set up, which is going to be convenient too. And I just got to plug in the instruments. So DJ Friday, play Saturday, and then make a nice chunk of change and come back on Sunday. So that's what I got going on so far, dude. Like I said, that looking forward to my birthday tomorrow. Just another year around, another trip around the sun. So I'm
so
excited.
so I mentioned on here a little while ago that I how do you not have your phone just on vibrate?
I forget.
Like mine never gets turned off of vibrate. It's like it doesn't ring anymore. Like
If I don't,
I don't know what ringtone is on my phone.
I have to keep mine on ring for my work because I got clients and my boss call me. If I put it on vibrate, don't hear it, that could be an important call that I missed. So
Gotcha.
I just leave it on. And if we're somewhere like now, if we go to a movie, if we go somewhere, I'll put it on vibrate, obviously, but like I have to leave it on for work reasons and
So
things like that.
so before we hop into
Thank you, Joe.
pro wrestling, I got two stories I want to tell. The first one I'll go ahead and I'll say is that I went and I saw the new Nicolas Cage movie Long Legs in the theaters, right? Which all the commercials and everything for are saying scariest movie of the year and blah blah blah, right? And it's a horror film, and he plays the creepy bad guy in it named Long Legs, right? Uh, the movie's not scary. I don't know what people like my personal feelings are that at this point people think mystery and suspense films are horror films. And this is, yes, it's got a character like a, I guess like a Hannibal Lecter-esque character, long legs in it, right? But Silence of the Lambs, I would have called a mystery and a suspense film, or a thriller. I wouldn't have called it a horror film.
Yeah, who called the Silence of the Lamb a horror film?
Well, I mean, like it did have a guy that put on a skin suit and everything else, So I mean, like I could kind of see where in the '80s that was scary, right? But
I'm thinking of horror. I'm thinking
yeah,
of Michael Myers
yeah,
and
exactly.
Hostel and shit like that.
Like Saw and
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, so even new age stuff, you think Saw, you think the new Evil Dead was a horror movie, like all that kind of stuff. But people are like, oh, it's the scariest movie I've seen and so I enjoyed it. I don't want people to think that I didn't enjoy it, but it wasn't excellent. It wasn't like a 9.5 on Rotten, like 9.5 out of 10 review score or anything. It wasn't anything like that, but it was solid. I enjoyed it. It had a really good cast for what it was trying to do. I mean, like getting Nicolas Cage to play the bad guy in a suspense slash, if you want to call it a horror film. Like to me, body counts have to be kind of high, and you have to see the slashing and the killing for it to actually be a horror film. That's so In a Violent Nature was a horror film, and I went and I saw that, and I was like, how did they not just call this Friday the 13th? But anyways, so I went and I saw that, and I just it wasn't scary, and it was nothing super new or a brand new way of doing anything in a horror film type thing.
Mm.
So I didn't really understand why people are like, oh, it's so good and it's so scary. It was written fine. The commercial, like the trailer for it, actually made it look more like the video game Alan Wake 2, which, as you know, is one of my favorite video games that I've played in the last 5 years. But then the movie's nothing like it. The movie's a lot more like, you ever see the movie Zodiac, where it's all about the Zodiac killer?
I think so, yeah.
So it's a lot like that. You have an FBI agent who has like a premonition effect or whatever, and is going after someone who's been killing for like the last 30 years. So it's got a cool concept, and it plays out well. I enjoyed the end, although it kind of left the movie like, really, that's how you end it, which is another problem with these kinds of movies nowadays. Like when I saw Late Night with the Devil, I thought the same thing. Anyways, if you like suspense style movies, if you like things with like FBI agents and procedurals, that type of stuff, I would say you should go see it.
I might check it out, but I'm gonna tell you another movie I watched that a lot of people shit on. You watched it and you thought it was pretty good too. Axel F. That movie, I I enjoyed it. Let's say I enjoyed. A lot of people, oh, they're leaning too much on the. I'm like, I like the callbacks that they did to the original movie.
I mean, that's the point of the film.
Yeah. Now I think, and they were like, oh, I think it was way better than Beverly Hills Cop 3 because that one did suck. But Axel F, man, I thought it was a good movie.
So one, I want to tell you, I don't know the last time you actually saw Beverly Hills Cop 3, but if you watch it now, I think it was ahead of its time. So I think it actually holds up better now than it did back then because it is a straight up action movie.
It was.
But
you put it against 1 and 2.
Right. But in a world now where action movies are like John Wick,
yeah,
it has a lot of action in it. I mean, the amount of times Eddie Murphy gets shot in the movies, like, ridiculous. It's like, oh, went right through again. But I actually really enjoyed the third one because it really didn't take itself seriously. Whereas the first two actually still tried to be, cop movies, right? The third one, it really wasn't. But anyway, the thing that I said about Axel F, first of all, I think they really dropped the ball. I know that the song is called Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. I know that that's why they called the movie that, but they should have just called it Beverly Hills Cop AF. Because that's the lingo today, is saying something's hot at AF, right?
Mm.
So if they had done that, and it would have meant Beverly Hills Cop as fuck, which would have been fine. Calling it Axel F, just it sounds like they should have gone either just AF
But again,
or
but again,
Axel.
it goes back to,
Well,
like I
right.
said, it's a callback. And I
Well,
think I thought it was a perfect title for it.
so and my biggest problem with the movie, okay, and he even calls it out himself in the movie, is that Eddie Murphy's the only one that's allowed to be racist.
What?
So at the beginning of the film, he sits there and he's watching a hockey game because he's in Detroit. So Detroit at Christmas time, what are you going to do? You're going to watch hockey, right? So he's watching a hockey game with a white dude, and he sits there, and of course he does his whole yeah. So let's go ahead and blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden, the white guy looks at him and goes, "But if I were to sit there," and he goes, "Don't even try it." Okay, and he does it multiple times throughout the movie, which once again means Eddie Murphy's allowed to do it, but no one else is.
No, but if you go back to that voice in the first movie, and he was mocking a black cop when he did it. Oh, you're not gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe. He wasn't mocking the white cop. He was mocking the black cop. Again,
Right.
that was a callback to the first movie.
Well, and the other thing that I noticed is he kept going, "Come on, brother, 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 brother," to the one guy where he's like trying to steal a car.
Mhm.
You know,
Again, and that was again, and I don't know how long ago you saw it first. Like I said, a lot of those little things he was doing, he did the same thing in the first movie. So a lot of it was callback. I could see where you're coming from, but
right, right.
a lot of it was callbacks. He was doing it from the first movie.
But again, the rest of the film I thought was fun. I love the fact when 40 years later you can get the same cast to be part of the film.
I thought it was cool, and I caught it, because I showed Nicole. So you remember in the first movie, the original captain before Paul Reiser was the black guy, Captain Todd, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if you go back at the beginning of the movie, when Axel is in the office talking to Paul Reiser, there's a picture on the wall of the original captain. Do you see that? I thought
Yeah.
that was cool.
Well, there's also a picture of Paul Reiser and Axel Foley when 40 years ago.
Yep.
And I always find stuff like that funny.
And
But then there's the picture of Axel in the back seat where you got Billy and you got the sergeant, sitting in the car, and it's the exact same look from
yeah,
and then of course the things that I did actually find really funny about it were when they made fun of like the size of the police car in LA, and like shit like that. I thought that was hilarious.
he called him Lego. He said,
He's
"You
like,
guys
"Aren't
are
you embarrassed to call this a cop car?"
you're Lego cops."
And when he steals the three-wheeling like little like I
The
guess
meter maid, the
yeah, the
meter maid.
meter maid vehicle, like
That was, and that was, it's funny because so both his daughters were in that movie, his real life daughters.
right.
The meter maid, the one that kept macing him, that's his daughter. And then one of the lady cops who arrested him was his daughter.
So did you know that remember the TV show that I always say is like my favorite TV show ever, which is called The Shield with Michael Chiklis and Walton Goggins in it?
Commish.
Yeah, yeah.
I will always know him as a commish.
Well, you never actually watched The Shield, did you?
No.
Because when you watch the first episode of The Shield, you sit there and you go, "Wait a second, that guy was the commish?"
Yeah, because he lost a lot of weight between the
Well,
commish and the
he
shield.
got built. He lost
Yeah.
all of his hair, and he just looked like a badass.
Yeah.
Anyways, so anyway, what was I? So about 10 years ago, the guy that created the Shield, his name's Sean Ryan, actually maybe 15 years ago, actually talked to Eddie Murphy and was trying to get a Beverly Hills Cop TV series greenlit.
Oh.
And that Beverly Hills Cop TV series was supposed to have Eddie Murphy in it, but as like the dad of a young male cop that was
Yeah.
like kind of, you kind of get Eddie out of there, and you move up with the new kid, right? So basically like you introduce it with Eddie Murphy, and then you slowly roll Eddie Murphy out. And they actually did a pilot for it. So you can go online and actually find the Beverly Hills Cop pilot for the show that he was supposed to do. Now,
Who played the son?
I don't remember.
Okay.
But Eddie's wearing his Detroit Lions jacket and everything else in LA, but because that show, I think, would have went in a different direction and would have been a little bit more serious, but still had Eddie Murphy classic humor in it. Like, I really would have liked to have seen where they would have gone with that. Instead, we got this movie, which has nothing to do with that except Eddie Murphy's in it. Anyways, that was, the movie was the one thing I wanted to mention. The second thing is that I've got a brand new laptop coming tomorrow.
Oh.
So after, I think, 9 years, I finally ordered a new laptop, and I ordered another Lenovo. So you can get mad at me all you want about the fact that I didn't go with a MacBook. And I probably paid almost what you would pay for a MacBook, just because I like future proofing my computers. Like my PC right now is 9 years old, right? It still runs everything. So it was future proofed. Like, I purposely made sure that I bought one that could play games and everything else when I bought it, so that way, like, I would get more years out of it than somebody that's just trying to, switch out their computer every 4 or 5 years, right? So I ordered it, and I ordered it July 5th. Okay. So tomorrow's the 15th. So it's 10 days later. Well, initially it told me that I needed that I would be expecting it like the 25th. And I'm like, why does it take so damn long to get a computer? If I order it off of Amazon, I get it tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I keep checking the order while I'm at work or whatever. I check the order, and it says waiting to ship. I'm like, why the hell is it still waiting to ship? Like at this point, and this was, let's say, Wednesday of last week. I'm like, it still says waiting to ship. Why the fuck does it say waiting? Like, it should have shipped by now. 7 days later, it should have shipped. There should be no more waiting to ship shit.
Right.
So, of course, the little chat bot comes up and it goes, is there anything we can help you with the chat? And I'm like, yeah, why hasn't my computer shipped yet? Right? They're like, we'll transfer you to a real life person. So, of course, they transfer me over to a person. And the person sits there and he goes, Mr. Rob, I'm really sorry that you're dealing with this inconvenience, but are you saying that you're upset that it hasn't shipped yet? And I'm like, have you not read what I wrote? Like you've been saying to me in text messages recently, did you not read the whole thing, you dumbass? And it's like, no, I did read the whole thing. I'm asking Jason something, random, whatever. But so the guy sits there and he goes, so did I answer your question? I'm like, no, you didn't answer my question. I want to know why it hasn't shipped yet. And he goes, because it doesn't work that way. And I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't work that way? Right? Like, what do you mean? Like, I could order it off of Amazon today, have it tomorrow. So I could cancel the order and just get the computer through them. And I can't, because come to find out, now see, he didn't say any of this stuff. I had to look it all up. It's a brand new built computer, like with the newest and latest specs on it.
Right.
So they don't even have all of them there yet. So they actually have to physically build the computer to then ship it out to me.
Got it.
Had he said that, I'd be like, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for your help. Goodbye. Instead, I stick on there going, so why can Amazon do it and you guys can't? And I did that like 6 times, because I'm like, well, if you like, don't you think that this is a way to lose sales? Because I work like, and for those that don't know, my brother-in-law works at Lenovo, so I get to use their friends and family employee discount. So the laptop that I bought said that, like, with all the specs and everything that I was putting in there was basically like without any discounting at all would have been $2,500. Okay. I ended up like the computer I ended up and that was with a 5 year. Here's how the warranty works on this. I got the accidental damage and everything warranty. So if the screen cracks or whatever, they have to replace the screen. But like if it gets wet, they have to replace it, like that kind of stuff. But it if something goes wrong with it, they come to my house to fix my computer. So yeah, pretty cool warranty on that, right? So I'm like, so I don't know if I sped up the process by me contacting them at all anyway, but like so the computer itself, like I said, it would have been with the warranty and everything would have been like $2,500. Instead, I got it for like $1,200. So over 50% off because it literally like it said you saved $1,500 after taxes and everything. So I'm like, wow, okay, I saved more than I spent on it. That's a pretty good deal. And it's gonna be a beast computer. It's actually what they call a workstation. It's not even like a your standard laptop. It's actually meant to be like something that you can do all your daily work on. But I bought but I bought the 14-inch one, so I bought a smaller one than I currently have. So it's even going to be more compact, so I can take it with me and actually have it way less and everything, which is nice. But I don't know if I sped the process up or not because all of a sudden Thursday I get a message that says your order is shipped. Now remember, I said that it told me that I should be expecting it on the 25th to the 29th of July. Instead, all of a sudden now it's saying you should expect it on the 15th. So folks, if you ever order something from a company that says that it's going to be like 2 weeks until they actually ship it or whatever, ask them why they haven't shipped it yet, and maybe they'll ship it out that day.
So be a pain in the ass.
Absolutely. Well, you know how I am, man. I need instant gratification on shit. So
be a pain in the ass.
and I am. There's no denying that. Like, and it served me pretty well for the most part. But but like I'm an instant gratification guy. If I start looking at something saying I think I might want this, I literally go out and I end up buying it. Like because at some point, a want becomes a need. And I don't know what goes off in my brain that makes me feel that way, but that's literally what goes on in my brain. Like I'm looking at, when I start a new job, I always create like a list of frivolous things I want to buy. Now, all I do is I write them down, and then one by one, I try to figure out like which one. Chris Barrett, we said this 2 weeks ago that we were going to be doing the show on Sunday night, not Monday night, because Tino's birthday is Monday. So yes, it's not Monday night, and we're doing the show tonight. Anyways, but I need to have instant gratification when I finally do decide that I'm going to buy something. I don't wait. I finally just go, okay, screw it, I'm ordering it. Or I'll go over to Best Buy and I'll buy a new iPad or whatever. Like when it's in my brain that I'm going to buy something, I end up buying it. Anyways, so and some of these frivolous buys, by the way, are things that at some point I will need. They're not just let me buy a new toy. Okay, so like for example, my dryer for like for whatever reason, you know how like when you open the door to the dryer, if it's going, it'll stop. Mine doesn't stop anymore. So I actually have to turn the little knob thingy until it actually goes to 0. So it turns off. So if I open the door, it's not kicking clothes out. Okay. So I know at some point, my $400 dryer from 20 years ago, I'm going to have to replace.
Yeah, we just had to replace our washer and dryer last year.
So and then you've seen you obviously have been in my house. You know that I have no storage space for anything. So like I'm thinking about things like that. I'm thinking maybe if I bought like a set of shelves, or I bought this, or I bought so when I'm looking at a washer and dryer, it's taken them 100 years since they put washers and dryers in houses, and in that time, now you can finally get a machine that does both. You can actually buy a washer dryer combo, not
Oh,
stack, but an actual one machine that does both.
how much does that bitch cost?
So, relatively speaking, it's like $1,500 to get the twofer. But here's the other thing: they don't have, like, you know how you always have to put like that vent dryer hose on them. They don't have those.
So where's the lint go?
You have a lint trap that you have to clean out every time, which I do anyway on the current one that I've got.
So where's the heat from the dryer? That dryer vent hose. That's
So I assume the way that it works is just like a dishwasher. It washes everything and then immediately goes into dry cycles.
wow.
Now, I started saying that to my brother-in-law. I was like, that would save me so much space because you literally just have one unit in the room. I'd be able to put shelving up. I'd be able to put, like, a rack in there. So I'd have space to actually, like, because I'm super lazy. I don't even like, I take my clothes out and I put them right on top of it. And then I take my clothes upstairs when I go to take a shower. That's literally how I do it now. I don't ever see, because I live by myself. I don't ever put my clothes in like a dresser. I don't do it anymore. So, because I'm always wearing the same clothes. So the only time that I'm not wearing those clothes, I've got like my dress shirts and everything hung up in my bedroom. But if I were to do something like this, I'd be able to hang them all up in the same room that I do my laundry. So to me, it kind of makes sense, right? It's super convenient that way. So my brother-in-law sits there and he goes, "Oh, you don't want to buy one of those twofer machines because if one part goes bad, then you got to replace the whole thing." And he's 100% right. 100% right. But I could still get a stackable, which would then still cut the amount of space that I'm currently using in half. So I'm already looking at that. And by the way,
And it's just you, so it's not like you need anything big
well,
because you're
yeah,
not washing a lot.
I mean, once every week.
Yeah, yeah, stackable will do you right.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what I'm thinking now is, and a stackable, I think instead of 1,500, you end up paying about 1,200. But if you're like me and with stuff like that, you go, oh, let me look at what the warranty covers from like Best Buy, and should I buy the extended and whatever? You got to buy one on both machines because they're two different machines. So all of a sudden it's like, do I buy it? Don't I buy it? Like, what does it cover? What doesn't it cover?
Well, if you bought a stackable, or whether you buy a washer and dryer, you're still gonna have to buy warranty on two machines.
Right. But if I buy the twofer, I'm only buying one warranty.
But like he said, though, what are you gonna happen if it breaks down? You got to buy the whole.
Right. And luckily, they're out of town so often that I could go over to their house and use their washing machine if I needed to actually like do laundry. Um, oh yeah, I'm just checking on your house, and all of a sudden I use their laundry machine, whatever. but anyway, like I ordered the laptop. It's supposed to come in tomorrow. Of course, it won't have any of the software or anything that I need. So I'm gonna have to do all of that like craziness of like reloading all of my software and everything else on it. But I'm tired of my old ass rickety laptop that doesn't want to load up half the time. So it's like it's time to do something about that. So I'm finally doing something about it. And then in the next year, whatever, I'm thinking buying, upgrading to the latest iPad for artwork purposes, that kind of stuff. But yeah, the washer and dryer is actually something that I think is going to be a need rather than a want. But I still want a cool one. I don't want like I think when I bought these, I was like, oh, let's just get something that I could throw into the apartment that I lived in at the time, and take with me when I leave.
Right.
So it's like I can be a little more frivolous with it, so I can get one that's got more settings on it, that's got a better just depository or whatever. I can different things like that. So anyways, yeah, okay, I'm done talking about this stuff. Uh, let's hop into pro wrestling, which, by the way, I'm going to tell you, I watched a lot of it this week.
Really?
Yeah, I watched Raw. I watched SmackDown. I watched AEW Dynamite. I watched NXT.
When I'm out of town, you watch all the shit.
Well, that's because I got nothing else going on. So actually, I watched AEW this week because when I was driving home from trivia, Busted Open After Dark is on, where Bully Ray is actually talking about Dynamite. And it sounded like the angle that happened at the end of Dynamite this week was a really good angle, so I wanted to watch it. So we'll get to that in a couple minutes. Which shows do you want to start with?
I guess we'll start with which ones were better this week, do you think?
I don't know. You know what? We'll start with Dynamite and
Okay.
AEW because again, I watched it.
All right.
Did you watch it?
I was drunk this week. I watched it, but I don't I don't know if I
That's hilarious. All right, so the show started out with Will Ospreay coming out and
confronting MJF.
Well, wanting to confront MJF and MJF coming on the TV screen,
Yes.
saying, "You really think that I was going to come to Ottawa?" And of course he's backstage, so yes, he went to Ottawa.
He's there.
He's just there cutting the promo backstage, whatever. I felt like Ospreay's promo itself didn't come off as organically as some of his stuff had been sounding recently. I think he tried to put too much effort into it, and it came out a little bit flat. And then MJF kind of did what he always does, which is just be a consummate heel.
Yes.
The fact that we're actually getting that match this week rather than at one of the pay-per-views kind of surprised me, because I kind of thought if they're not going to put Ospreay in the main event at Wembley, then putting him against MJF at Wembley made the second most amount of sense.
And again, you don't know, something wonky might happen and it might still end up at Wembley. This might be
I don't think so. And I think it's going to be a straight up Danielson versus Swerve match at All In. Now, it doesn't mean that at All Out Ospreay doesn't get the first.
No, I think Heyman's going to find his way in that Danielson Swerve match.
And you're right, because obviously Hangman sat there, lost to Bryan Danielson immediately after the Ospreay promo, and later on in the night, Hangman went to go see the Bucks, and I loved Okada going, "Can I help you?" And Ospreay and Hangman's like, "You can get out of my way," and he's like, "Can I help you?" And he's like, "I already said you can get it." And then all of a sudden the Bucks come out and they're like, "Oh, no, it's okay. And then of course, all you hear Hangman say is, "I'll do it." And I think what that actually is supposed to mean is that Hangman's actually going to be part of Blood and
Guts,
which he very well could. If Danielson is on Team AEW, he could take Danielson out, and then the Bucks give him that opportunity. But I don't think so.
I'm saying that might be a three-way.
Well,
I'm saying he might still find his way in.
I thought that too, and it could even be a four-way, because if they throw Ospreay into that match too, then all of a sudden you've got four different people that can be.
Yeah.
Except I think that kind of cheapens what you're trying to do by saying, "Hey, this is going to be the biggest show that we do all year," and putting on a three-way or a four-way kind of takes away from that a little bit.
Yeah, but if it does make a four-way, in England, Ospreay will probably walk away with it.
Well, and originally everybody thought that Ospreay would walk out with the world title at All In, but I don't know. It doesn't look like they're going that route now. I could see them going Okada versus Ospreay, title for title, and him walk out with two belts, but he'd walk out with the international and the the other belt.
Yeah, possible.
Yeah, because they both have a belt right now.
we still haven't. Okay, and then speaking of CEO, I remember she came out and she was talking shit about Britt. Britt came out. They still have, and Britt came out, has challenged her. CEO still has not answered her. So I I don't see them. I just see is Britt going for CEO for I keep wanting to call her Sasha Banks, for Mercedes Moné, just to beat her ass. I still don't know if they're going to put one of those titles up because Britt doesn't need a title.
Britt doesn't need a title, but
Sasha needs that title.
she shouldn't.
Well, in AEW, she should because she sucks. You're right, she shouldn't.
I'm in agreement with you. I think that where she really shines is not the promos,
Mm-hmm.
and you could see that from her match with Stephanie McCurr, who we'll talk about in a little bit because it happened almost instantly that she had that match in AEW, and then all of a sudden, boom, she's now part of WWE. But like it's weird to me that Sasha or Mercedes isn't wrestling, which is her strong suit, and yet
I'm wondering if she's still hurt, or if she's.
I don't think so because I mean she has had 3 or 4 matches now. At least she's cleared to wrestle, but her contract is probably one where she only has to wrestle once a month. Whereas Ospreay, when he signed, he wanted to wrestle. That's why he's wrestling so often. But I think the other area that Mercedes really needs help, obviously, is her promo work. But I think it's because her promos used to be written for her, and I think she's a better actress than she is an off the cuff speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can talk about the Vakur thing one more time, people are getting mad at Vakur because of the way that she was let out of her CMLL contract and that her contract with New Japan ended, right? They're mad
she said she was leaving for personal reasons. And the next thing you know, she's signed with WWE.
I mean, personal reasons could be a much bigger paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we leave jobs, we leave for personal reasons, right?
well, you know what I mean? Like, I think she was still signed. Usually you work in a real job, you work a 2 weeks notice. I mean, she still had shows and things she was supposed to be doing. And she's like, fuck you, I'm out.
Yeah, I agree. But here's the thing. People like Dave Meltzer are getting really pissed off and saying, oh, she was so unprofessional. She was so unprofessional. And yet they seem to forget who her last match in AEW, her match in AEW was against, and how unprofessional that person has been in the past. So you can't have it both ways. If one person's unprofessional, then they're both unprofessional. If one person sits there and says, I'm taking my ball and going home, and then shows up in another company, you can't sit there and say, oh, it was the best possible decision for her.
Yep.
Like I have a real problem with that. And and by the way, I have a real problem with Dave Meltzer at this point because he the NXT Heatwave match between Kalani Jordan and Sol Ruka, he gave I think he gave it 4.5 stars. Okay. And yet everybody else said that match was an A+. Like we're talking. In fact, Ricochet, and I talked about this last week on the show when you weren't here, but Ricochet actually, got up out of his hospital bed apparently and talked about how that match gave him Ricochet Ospreay vibes.
Oh.
So if he's saying that match gave him those vibes, and by the way, they showed a video where it looked like some of the moves were choreographed to be similar to some of those spin moves, and then they both land with the superhero punch kind of thing, which the women did not do, but the women did sit there and do the whole stare at each other. They both landed. But Meltzer sat there, and you know what he said? He said it was like dance choreography and it wasn't a wrestling match.
But if that had been a Kenny Omega match,
or an Ospreay match,
or Ospreay match,
it would have been a 5.5 star match. Because both of those, I've already said it. he has the kicker. He's got the Omega kicker and he's got the Osprey kicker. So if you want a 6-star match, you just have to put the two of them in it and have them work a 4-star match.
And if they work one together, he'll just come on himself and like, oh.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's where you get the 6-star match. You know, the amazing, impossible 6-star match. You know, like it's ridiculous to me that they talk about this, do all this stuff, and whatever.
Anyway,
the other stuff from Dynamite.
I had a question for you. I'm sorry.
No,
going back to the Osprey MJF, I had a thought. So Osprey and MJF are fighting for Osprey's title, right?
Are they for the title?
Yeah. So what if MJF does beat him, right? Follow me. MJF beats him, and he holds it for a while until Garcia comes back, and Garcia beats him for it.
Okay.
I'm just a thought. What are your thoughts on that?
It's weird because I don't know if they're writing Garcia off TV because he hasn't signed a new deal yet. Because apparently his contract is up next month. So I'm assuming they wrote him off TV. They're putting him into what we would consider a big story with MJF, right? But if even with that, putting him in that situation, if he's not re-signed, you're not really going to make mention of it very much, and you're going to kind of bury it until he's signed, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, I could see Garcia costing Max the match, but I don't think Garcia's been out long enough to sell the injury.
No. I'm not saying he cost him the match. I'm saying MJF wins it, and when Garcia does come back.
See, I could see Garcia. I could see somebody costing Max the match, you know, because he's costing other people matches. So.
Well, if it would be, since Garcia's out, it would be Daddy Magic. Matt Menard would cost him the match.
Well, except they beat the hell out of him too, didn't they?
Yeah. So if he does get if he wins it, I think Garcia is going to come back and beat him for it. If he loses and someone costs him the match, I'll say it's going to be Daddy Magic.
Okay. I mean, I could see that.
Yeah. Sorry, as I had my train. I wanted to say it earlier, but we got off on.
Because the next thing I want to talk about is another person written off TV, apparently, Samoa Joe.
Which means my show's coming back.
Actually, they're doing they're part of the Sony Pictures panel at San Diego Comic-Con. So Samoa Joe could make an appearance there for that.
Sweet.
Even as Sweet Tooth. So that'd be pretty interesting if that's what they end up doing.
For people who don't know what we're talking about, Twisted Metal is on. Was it on Max?
Peacock,
and Samoa Joe is his character is the Sweet Tooth, where he is just the character and someone else voices it. Joe wears the clown mask, but somebody else voices the character.
Yeah, I think the voice for it is John DiMaggio, the guy that actually does Marcus Phoenix as well as Bender from Futurama.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they wrote him off. They had a street fight between him and Jericho. At one point, you thought Jericho was going to pour out thumbtacks, and instead he poured out horseshoes. And I guess it was because it was a Calgary Stampede match, is what they actually called it.
Oh, so stupid.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
I'm so tired of this version of Jericho.
Me too.
It's not working.
I think I talked about it ad nauseum. I last week I flat out said if it was anybody else, and in fact I think last 2 weeks now I've said if this was anybody else with this character, it would have been dropped already.
Mm-hmm.
But Jericho is the type of person who's like, just keep giving me time with it. It's gonna get over. And I'm done with it. I almost changed the channel when he's on currently. I wish for the moments of like picture in picture because then I can just skip through it. All right. Main event time with them.
I think he's right. I think Helios is right. Will Arnett is the voice of Sweet Tooth.
Oh, it is Will Arnett. It is Will Arnett. But I could have seen it be John DiMaggio as well. Yes, it absolutely is Will Arnett, Terrence. Main event: Mariah May versus Willow Nightingale.
Now we knew that eventually it would be
Well, let's talk about
Mariah.
the match first. Let's talk about the match first.
Okay, yeah.
Does anybody remember the match? Match was good.
The match was good.
It was a
The,
solid match. And
when she went for the pounce and Mariah headbutted the shit out of her, I was like, what the hell was that? That's one way to counter the pounce, I guess.
absolutely. Mariah May wins the match. Tony Storm comes down, and they are having one hellacious.
But Tony Storm was already down there.
Right. But she gets into the ring, and she's
Yes.
like, she's celebrating like she won the match. And they walk up to they walk up to the top of the ramp, and Mariah May just hits her with the belt and proceeds to give one of the best beatdowns of both Tony Storm and Luther.
Well, Tony Storm should have watched for the shoe because she got the shit beat out of her with that shit.
Well, Mariah May took off Tony Storm's shoe,
Beat the brakes off her with that shoe,
and spiked her with the heel. I don't know how many times. And by the way, some of those really connected.
Storm sold too. She really sold. I mean, when she was banging her head, and Storm was like, she was just out, and she was like,
well, I think Storm got clocked the hard ways, and I think that's, like they were gonna get color, but I think they went hard ways with it. Luther going through the two tables at ramp side. I thought that was great.
yes.
It would have been better to me if so. Here's my criticism. I thought the angle was tremendous. I thought that it was an A+ ending to Dynamite. You know where my problem is with it? It felt like some of the sale was deflated from the fact that the week before, MJF did almost the same exact thing to Daniel Garcia. He beat him to a bloody pulp, and then...
Well, there was a point of that, like you even said yourself, they're probably doing that to bring him off TV. This, I think they were trying to swerve. We all knew that eventually Mariah would go against Tony for that belt, but what we didn't see coming was her turning on her like that. We just thought,
I did.
I thought it would be Tony once she won. I thought it'd be be a couple weeks. I thought Tony would have turned on her, and I thought they would have made Mariah heel. Didn't expect them to make Tony heel, but that's exactly what they did. I mean, I'm not mad at it. I love this.
Mariah's the heel.
Yeah, they made Mariah the heel. I thought they would have made Tony the heel, by turning on Mariah. They just did opposite what I thought they were going to do.
No. This is like the classic, Mickey James turning on Trish Stratus. This is that same thing all over again. And in fact, they actually said it plays out like a 1950s movie that is a real movie.
But I don't know. I know Tony was supposed to be the heel, even though they're cheering her. So I thought they would have kept Tony, because she's stronger as a heel. But you know what I mean?
Well, she could still be a heel in every other aspect, but right now,
she's over. She's over.
Well, I'm going to tell you, the build-up for this match has me thinking it needs to go on last at Wembley.
They won't do it, though. I agree with you. They won't do it.
He won't do it. Although it would once again cement the fact that he's not booking Swerve Strickland correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you saw the commotion that was on Twitter about last week's Dynamite, where when they put up the weekly card poster, it said international champion Osprey, it said this champion Okada, it said these tag team champions, and then it said Swerve Strickland returns, but it didn't say AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland returns. So someone made mention of it on Twitter, and all of a sudden at midnight that night, they switched it to say that. But here's the other problem, is that Swerve Strickland was like somewhere in the middle of the poster. He wasn't at the top of the card. He wasn't at the bottom of the card. He was somewhere in the middle. So once again, they didn't make Swerve look like he's the world heavyweight champion.
Oh, yeah.
And Swerve's even sitting there talking about this now when he comes out. I also didn't like Swerve's placement in Wednesday night, where he came out after the Danielson match, and you thought you were going to get him and Danielson staring each other down, but they went to commercial, and Danielson left.
I think Tony was trying to give Swerve his respect and let them have the ring. You're right. He should have done it where they did the stare down. I totally agree with you. I don't think Tony Khan did that purposely. I think he thought he was doing the right thing by letting Swerve have the ring and have his say, but he still fucked it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't think he purposely did that.
Well, I think that, okay, this is how I would have booked that moment. If you're going to have Swerve's music come on, you're going to have Nana do his dance, you're going to have them both walk down to the ring. They're going to stare down Bryan Danielson, and then what they're going to do is one of them's going to put their hand out for a handshake. They're both baby faces right now, right? You have the handshake, and then you have Danielson sit there and say, I'm out, dips out. Then it goes to commercial. When it comes back from commercial,
I wouldn't even do that because we're talking about Swerve now. Remember, we had discussed a couple of weeks ago where Swerve is too facey. He doesn't have that edge. The way I would have booked it is Danielson stood in the ring. Swerve just got in his face, holding the belt, talking shit. And Danielson's like that. Swerve wouldn't touch him. So he didn't do anything heel. You know what I'm saying? He's just saying, hey, I'm the champ, da 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 da. And Danielson give him the respect and get out. The handshake, that might have been too babyface. You know what I mean?
well, I mean, it could have been Danielson actually putting the hand out for the handshake, though.
Yeah, but Swerve not taking it. Swerve just holding his belt up,
Yeah.
da 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 da.
And I think the other part where they missed on this was the fact that this was to put somebody in the main event at Wembley Stadium, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why not have Swerve on commentary?
I mean, when do you have Swerve on commentary, though? I see what you're saying, but I don't think that is a Swerve thing. Put Nana on commentary, yes.
I
Or
mean,
maybe not Swerve. Have Nana on the headset and Swerve sitting there with him. I agree, but not.
sure, okay, but you get what I'm saying. Why
Yes,
not
yes,
scout his opponent, whatever.
yes.
Now, granted, I think that the reason why they didn't do that is because when Hangman starts doing what he's doing, knocking out the referees and everything else, you would think that a babyface champion would then get in the ring and actually cause, but they had Jeff Jarrett there for that, which I find really weird that Jeff Jarrett suddenly is playing babyface.
No, no. I have to disagree with you because they've gone over this and they've even showed the
Well, I know it's
promos.
about the Owen Hart thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why he's not really baby. He's doing it for Owen, his best friend, and wants to make sure that this is, this is in Owen's name. He don't want anybody tarnishing it or doing anything. You know what I'm saying? So he wants it to be down the middle because Owen was a good guy. So he wants this to be fair and square. I get that. He'll go back to being heel next week, but this is Owen Hart, his best friend. He's just trying to make sure in Owen's honor and Owen's memory that this goes straight down the line. So no, I had no problem with him.
Okay, I'm fine with all that. One thing that Nick Nemeth brought up this week, by the way,
Mhm.
and the former Dolph Ziggler, he brought this up. He goes, in a moment like you had with Tony Storm and Mariah May, like last week, you had referees come down to try to stop, MJF. You had security guards. You had all those people try to stop him. Nobody tried to stop Mariah May at all.
They did. They all came out because remember they even made it on commentary on Collision. Remember because they did. The ref squad came up. Remember even Audrey got between them and she pushed Aubrey down.
Well, but that was after she'd already done like the entire beatdown.
But they probably weren't expecting it. You know what I'm saying?
So the question that he posed there was, is it because they don't have women security guards? Because they don't have men grab women or anything like that. They is it because they don't have women security guards that they don't have, or should they start having women security guards for women's matches like that?
No, because WWE has security guards coming up. How many times have you seen Rhea Ripley Nia Jax, Becky Lynch, fucking knocking out men security guards. So I don't think that'd be sexist to say, oh, we need women security guards to handle the. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think they did it like WWE does it. And on this point, I'm agreeing with WWE does a better. I won't say does it better, but you know what I'm saying? They know how to handle it. They could have bought male security guards, and Mariah could have been going crazy and knocking out the male security guards just like the women do in WWE.
I mean, she did throw Luther off the stage. So
Yes, I mean that. Nah.
all right, let's go to WWE programming. If you have anything that you want to say about Heat Wave or Money in the Bank, really quick, I would say go ahead and do it. I obviously talked about both of those.
I was wondering how when I knew Drew won, and I called Tiffy time, but
Did and what I said last week was you called it and it was the right decision. And I was happy to see that the second to last real competitor in the match was Chelsea Green.
yeah, but the Drew McIntyre that cash in made it a 3-way. I knew as soon as they made it a 3-way, Punk was coming out because of the 3-way. There's no disqualification,
right? And that's
so
why it had to be a 3-way. Because otherwise there would have been a disqualification.
So do we get this payoff for the Drew McIntyre? Because now I guess he's suspended because he hit Adam Pearce, and now they're just coming back this Monday to sit down and talk about it. Where does this end? Because it's not obviously not going to be for a title. So it's just, do we get it at SummerSlam? What's the purpose?
I think that the ultimate goal is to get Punk cleared in time for SummerSlam.
But what's the purpose of this feud?
The Drew and Punk feud?
Yes.
I mean, it's been going ever since the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
You know, and it needs a payoff. Like right now, we've seen both of them cost each other in the ring, out of the ring, and everything else, right?
Yeah.
Punk has gone on record, and he said it multiple times now. He said, as long as I'm in the WWE, you'll never be world champion, you know, and he's held good on that. You know, like when Drew won Money in the Bank, he didn't let him win. When he won it at WrestleMania, he made sure that he lost it immediately after, you know, and he's been holding true to that. And it's because, you know, like Punk's feelings there are Drew showed no remorse at all for injuring Punk in the Royal Rumble, right? And that took him away from his WrestleMania main event. So since he doesn't get his WrestleMania main event, Drew doesn't get to run with the title.
And so that was Money in the Bank Heat Wave. We both. I don't think either one of us called Ethan Page winning that match.
No, we said we didn't think he was ready for it.
I said Shawn Spears, and I think, who did you say?
I think I went with you on Spears. I was like, yeah choice.
I was like, so yeah.
What did you think? What did you think of the end of that match?
Where where Spears kind of held Trick out of the ring
after Trick hit his finisher on both of them, and
then Ethan just fell on top of him. I thought it was bullshit. I was trying to figure out why the fuck, why would Spears hold Trick from getting in the ring? Was he? And there's a 3 count going on. That didn't make sense to me.
So they tried to talk about that a little bit on Tuesday, and Spears basically said he didn't see that Ethan Page had fallen on top and that the referee went for a count. He was just trying to get Trick out of the ring. And obviously, you know, the calamity that occurred. I loved it, by the way, because you don't see bullshit endings like that cause title changes anymore.
The dusty finish.
But it's not a dusty finish because
that's true. That's true.
Typically prevent a finish from happening.
True.
You know, like oh, we're out of time. You know, like one of those. But we got where Trick stays strong. because he hit his
Yeah.
finisher on 2 guys. We've got Sean Spears saying that, like he got robbed. We've got OG sitting there looking horrible because he ate it and then he ate the pin. But obviously he's the youngest one who really has so little work in the ring at this point that it makes sense that he's not ready for that yet. At the same time, like Ethan Page sneaking out as a chicken shit heel who gets a chicken shit win is awesome. Like it and it fits the character.
So do we get Mensa Aura going after him now? Because he's got that feud going.
I mean,
Aura Mensa.
I think that allows for him to be in the discussion. But what it really does, like, yes, Trick's going to get a rematch, right? So Trick's going to get a rematch, but does that mean that Sean Spears doesn't get a rematch? I don't know. Do you make it a 3-way dance, and the only one that you kick out of the match is the one that ended up losing, who didn't even get to be part of the tag team match because they took him out on Tuesday night, and it was Brooks Jensen that took him out. It wasn't any of the other competitors.
Yeah.
And by the way, the end of the Heatwave pay-per-view, where as it's going off the air and all of a sudden you see Joe Hendry's face show up, like I was like, what the fuck are they doing there?
And then they pulled him out on Tuesday. Do you think? I mean, I get working together, but do you think you think Hendry's gonna be another NXT signee?
Oh yeah. I think what you're gonna and hopefully what it really means is that it allows them to continue working with TNA when they do, like, because Jordan Grace is gonna probably get signed by WWE as well. In fact, they're now saying that her contract, which was supposed to end like next summer, has been reworked so it ends in January, which allows me
Royal Rumble.
which allows me to think that it means Royal Rumble time. And I love the idea of Joe Hendry's music coming on at the Royal Rumble. Like although is he still going to be as hot as he is right now come then? And I don't know.
Hey, he's on a hell of a ride right now, so he may be.
I mean,
I mean,
he is.
LA Knight still his as soon as his music hits, people still lose their mind. So
Well,
I mean,
the WWE right now is in a position where it's almost like too many people are over to the moon. And it's a good problem to have, but like you only have 2 world titles, and you've got like 8 guys that could instantly be your world champ, and you wouldn't have any problems with any of them.
speaking of world champs, you just reminded me, and talking about that finish on Heatwave, the pin at Money in the Bank when Seth hit that Falcon Arrow,
Oh yeah,
and the ref was counting 1, 2, and just stopped. That was bad. That was bad.
yes.
That was a 3 count. I mean, how many times if people forgot to kick out, the ref still counted 3, and you just had to figure it out. That was obvious.
The problem is because you knew you were having the Drew cash in, you knew you were having the Punk stuff, you couldn't do it there. Yeah, it was this. You know what I said it was like last week. I said it was like when Roman Reigns in the in not false count anywhere, but the last man standing match, the referee got to the 8 count and just stopped counting because Roman couldn't get the handcuff off in time.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing.
Uh,
Like we can hate it all we want. They had to keep the story going the way that the story was going, and it looks like one of 2 things happened. Either Damian Priest's bell got rung and he was out and he couldn't kick out, which is known to happen from time to time, or the music was supposed to hit and Drew McIntyre was supposed to start coming down, and neither of those things happened.
mm.
So if you watch the press conference afterwards, Chris Van Vliet sits there and asks Triple H. He goes, Paul, like, can you tell us about the not kick out in the world title match? And he goes, I saw what you guys saw. Like, he goes, But I'll put the Triple H hat on right now, and I'll say that the referee's decision is final. The referee decided not to count to 3, and that's where we're going to leave it at the end of the day. So he gave both answers.
Yes.
and he did it in a way where we sit there and we go, it is what it is, and he also said that when he was a competitor, it wouldn't matter if it was a 5-star match. If that type of moment happened and it was on him and he didn't kick out, or it, something like that happened, that would be the only thing he'd be thinking about. Like, he wouldn't be thinking, man, that was an amazing, pedigree that I hit on somebody. That was an amazing AA spine bust. No, he'd be thinking, I fucked up the match there.
Yeah.
So
so that was that.
Monday night, we had some pretty crazy stuff happen.
I want to talk about the end, but is there anything else you want to keep? Well, there's a couple of things that led up to the end. So Damien was trying to get Dominic to live alone. They walked in on Liv stretching his hammy for him, and that did look bad. He goes, "Oh, that does kind of feel kind of good."
When she leaves, and Damien goes, "It's not that hard, dude." And all of a sudden, Carlito looks at him and goes, "Looks pretty hard to me." And then they all just look at Carlito and go, "Get out."
No. The first part, because Carlito had two good. That was a good one. But then when he walked in, they were like looking. Carlito goes, "That's cool." No, that's not cool. So Damien's walking down the hallway. He goes, "Where you at?" And when he did that, I'm like,
I liked when he sat there and he said, "Well, Dom's gonna find out later anyway." It was like, great. We know who's back. Like when he said that, it was one of two things could happen, and there was like an 8% chance that Damian Priest was going to come down and just kick his head off, or there was a 92% chance it was Rhea Ripley coming back.
And when she came back, chicken shit, he'll live.
Hightailed it right out.
I mean, Rhea was still at the top of the ramp. The music hit, and she came on a step. She came on the stage on top of the ramp. Liv already dove over the barricade. She's out in the audience.
So yeah, and then of course she got into the ring, and Dominic looked at her, and Dom goes, "Mommy's back," and then the thing cuts to black. Like, he goes in for a hug, and she looks like she's getting ready to just put the hand up and stop him, and it cuts to black. So I didn't actually see what ended up happening after the fact, because I know it was on YouTube, but I didn't. Another thing that I do want to mention about Raw.
The Wyatt Six stuff.
Yes. Yeah, so I don't know if you saw when Chad Gable got out of the ring and started like walking backwards, but someone in the crowd sat there and said, "Chad, watch out!" And Chad did a backflip and just kept like going, and I'm like, was he supposed to do that, or like?
I think he just ad-libbed that to add to it.
I think he thought he was going to trip. So when he did it, like, he started to trip and just did a roll from it.
What you think of the VHS tape?
I've liked all of them, and I even liked the, when Adam Pearce opened up his office door and there was Taylor, and it's like, okay, because now it really does look like it's got the same kind of feel as like when Finn Balor's the Demon. And Finn Balor was able to make that work, even though there wasn't any real reason why him with paint on would be an unstoppable monster. So as long as they continue booking it that way, I think we're good. I think we have a good chance that this is going to be a really good gimmick and a good thing for them. Apparently there is rumor that SummerSlam, which hails from Cleveland, Ohio, which is where another person that used to be involved with Bray Wyatt resides.
The Miz.
Alexa Bliss is from Ohio, so I think we could actually see her show up at SummerSlam. and be the either sixth member or somebody that just helps them with whatever. So I think that we've got some interesting stuff going on there. I do find it interesting that they're still targeting Chad. This week, Michael Cole looked a lot more scared of them again. Like, so far, he hasn't looked scared. Like the first week, he was really scared, especially when, the second week, he wasn't scared, but the two security guards were knocked out on his table.
Mm.
And then this week, he actually seemed scared of her again, which I thought was cool. But you gotta keep it. You gotta keep that flowing.
I like when Jay won the match, and then the lights went out, and Jay went. He went like yeet, and he got out the ring. He got the hell out.
I
He
saw
said yeet.
that, and then I also saw that somebody online added like the Looney Tunes music to it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I thought that was pretty funny. Chris Barrett sitting there talking about Logan Paul.
Why?
I mean, we can talk in a minute.
No, I saw it, but why?
I mean, like I said, we can talk about him in a minute.
No.
And then of course we got the Punk and Seth Rollins back and forth, and I thought that went really, really well for Seth. Except, I don't know if you noticed, it was almost the same exact promo that Hangman cut on CM Punk.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it was pretty much when Hangman did that going off script promo. Nobody wants you here. I left you alone. Now I'm coming after you. All that, like, everything was like what Hangman said to him, which I thought was pretty interesting. And I mean, it sows the long-term storytelling seed for WrestleMania next year. You got Seth and Punk.
Could be.
As long as both of them can stay healthy.
Nothing really on NXT. It's SmackDown. I mean, you've got, except the Bloodline thing. What do you think of this Bloodline story so far?
So I do want to say that I think at this point, if you're going up against Jacob Fatu, you should know better than to try to give him a DDT.
That's the second week. And that was the first week. Whoever did it planted him. I mean, huh?
Randy Orton did it the first week.
Yeah, planted him. I mean, on his head, like he did a handstand kind of, and he just stood up. And Randy was like doing his little, and he turned around.
Well, Randy turned around and landed on the ground to do the stomp with the fists, and then he just goes.
And then they need to go back to that, because that used to be a real thing. Like, you didn't hit Samoans in the head because it wasn't going to hurt them. Now you hit a Samoan in the head, one of the Usos or somebody. They don't sell it like they used to.
Well, don't you remember the video where it showed Jey Uso getting a headbutt, and he just like he just did like and then he went like that, and it was like it didn't do anything to him. So I'm okay with where they're going with that. Oh, on Raw as well, by the way, the whole Braun Breaker coming out and actually saying nice things about Sami Zayn, and then being like, and then turned around, boom, and it was like, whoa. I was like, okay, I see where you're going with this. So I don't know if you saw it, but there's a Instagram post that The Rock put up. And on it, Tommaso Ciampa posted a reply to it that said, "Hey, thanks, Final Boss. By the way, when I turn on Johnny again, we can talk more later." And then all of a sudden, like, the very next reply to it was Johnny Gargano going, "Seriously? What the fuck?" And I do like what they're doing with DIY versus Waller and Theory, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the matches have been solid. I think that the interactions between the four of them have been good. And obviously, I think it's leading to Theory leaving Grayson Waller because once again, Waller hits Theory, and Theory just looks at him and goes, "Come on, dude, what the?" And then all of a sudden, he gets plowed into by the Bloodline. Right now, here's the problem I had with this Bloodline thing that you're talking about. Right, Cody Rhodes comes out. Cody Rhodes gets in the ring with four guys. What the fuck, man? Like, you know he's gonna get beat down.
He knew he was going to get beat down.
And we knew Kevin Owens wasn't there. And the Samoan Werewolf had already taken out DIY, right? But why is it that when Randy Orton gets into the ring, there's no comeback from DIY?
I think they were still selling.
Well, I get that, but they weren't at ringside anymore. So, like, if they really wanted to sell those two guys as baby faces in this moment, right? They should have had like the tape wrapped around their stomachs or whatever, and they should have been like hobbling down to the ring.
They were still on the floor.
Were they? I didn't see them.
Yeah, they were off of camera. The camera pan back, you still see them laying on the floor.
Okay.
Yeah, they were selling. He fucked them up.
Yeah, but I mean, and I know it was after a match and then getting beat up, but
then you would have bitched that that makes him look weak. So you can't have it both ways. If they'd have came back after he did the beat, if he beat them down, they're trying to make him strong and make him the enforcer, make him this big thing. Yeah. And it's more of a hill because he beat him down after a long match, but after a long match, and then you get your ass whooped like they did, because it wasn't just him. The other ones came out and fucked them and beat on them too.
Gotcha.
So I mean, I see what you're saying, but that'd be like you talking about the other guys, little guys who get beat down and then they get up and it makes the bigger guy look weak. So
well,
I mean, you can't have it both
when
ways.
you're talking about size and whatever, yeah, I guess I see what you're saying there. I agree with that. So yeah, it's just by that point, like 10 minutes later, I would have thought that they might have tried to get up and gotten beat down again. Because otherwise it just makes them look weak that they had to lay on the ground for 20 minutes. But I digress. It was at the end of the show, whatever. I mean, everyone thinks that it means that Roman Reigns is coming back either before or at SummerSlam now. I think that they might give us a little bit of a swerve on that, and they might not actually have him come out at SummerSlam because I think that they could bring Jimmy Uso back before that. Like, where the fuck is Jimmy? He's been gone since the day after WrestleMania.
Yeah, they fucked him up. Then they kick him out, and they jumped him and kicked him out.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's been months. Like nobody's going to get as much time off as Jimmy Uso does.
Well, Roman's been out.
Yeah, but
he's been up months.
Roman just left, and we know Roman's contract situation. Like Jimmy doesn't have that contract. So and I get why he's been kept off TV because I think when you get Roman to come back, it's going to be Roman and Jimmy. It's not going to be just Roman. And it probably is going to be Roman, Jimmy, and Paul. Although I could see Paul being in a wheelchair with a neck brace.
No. So let's talk about the new signing. I think that's the last little bit you want to talk about.
I mean, I kind of already talked about her, but
okay.
But Stephanie,
all right, cool. Yeah.
Really good talent. Can put on a match with just about anybody. She's got a good look to her. Not necessarily sure I like how she signed with them, but apparently CMLL is a company that allows people out of their contract if they're going to get more money to go somewhere else. So they let her out. I think that they would have preferred that any dates that they'd already had her committed to that she was going to actually show up at. But WWE had her show up in Mexico City this week. She came out, she had her first match, she's good to go. There, you know what? There is something else I want to talk about WWE related, but it wasn't in the WWE. Both AJ Styles had his match in Japan, and so did Io Sky. So they They both worked for different promotions in Japan. I want to say that AJ worked for All Japan Pro Wrestling earlier this week. He won his match. That it was like a 30-minute like clinic, and it was a great match, and they need to let AJ do more of that. And Io Sky, she did one for I think a new all women's promotion. And she, like, interestingly enough, the main event also had rumored to be signed to WWE Julia.
Whoa.
As you know, in the world title match, she ended up losing that world title match, which also has everybody thinking that means that she's WWE bound. So it's interesting. It's an interesting time to be a WWE fan because if WWE doesn't really have creative for you right now, you can work for other places, which is amazing.
Nice. I like it because it wasn't like that before.
Yeah, it means you get to keep having your reps. You get to actually like do work, and you're still getting paid by WWE when you're showing up as a WWE contracted wrestler somewhere else. So yeah. All the other stuff that I got is been watching The Boys. The final episode of season 4 is this Thursday. And Evil on Paramount Plus is right now on Rotten Tomatoes for the season that they're running on that. It is a 100%, and it has been excellent.
There's a show that I will recommend. Watched it. Nicole and I binge watched it today on Netflix. Supercell. Now, I don't know. You might not like it, but it's
Supercell.
Supercell. It's SUPACELL. It's a British based. What it is it's people with powers like
I
telekinesis.
saw the ad for it on there.
Dude, it's good.
Is it?
It's good.
Why do you think I not like it?
I had to. Well, I don't know. It's not your because it's not based on any comic books. It's one of it's just not your normal, I guess, superhero kind of thing. You might like it. It's British, so they have I had to turn on the subtitles because you couldn't understand what they were saying sometimes. You might like it. It's not marvelous or anything, Marvel-esque or anything, DC-esque comic book.
And that's fine. I mean, like I watched Three Body Problem on there not too long ago, which was about like people randomly seeing a number show up in their eye or whatever, and it's like this alien presence is supposed to be attacking Earth at some point. So that was kind of cool.
I'd recommend checking it out. You might like it. Give it a shot. What else did we watch? I need to go back. I want to go back. I'm gonna go back and watch The Boys because I'm running out of stuff to watch. So I'm gonna go back and I don't even remember where I left off on The Boys. So I need to figure that out. I think I'm still on. How many seasons is there?
The Boys is 4, but they also have a show called Gen V that you have to watch between season 3 and season 4. I mean, they're only 8-episode seasons though, so you can binge them pretty quick.
Maybe I'm trying to figure out. Has he been on my shit?
Little Man Plays. Thanks for that, man. We always love hearing that people like buying my comics. Hopefully you liked them.
Tell me, buy his book on Amazon.
Yeah, buy my new book. Are you sure you want to make comics? It's available on Amazon right now. You just have to search my name.
I want to make comics. I can't draw.
I mean, I don't draw the comics. I get people to do that. So
you see my drawing.
Thanks, Chris Barrett. Chris Barrett's saying buy all my books.
Oh.
This is the new one. Are you sure you want to make comics? How
many copies did you have?
How many copies do I have?
Yeah, what'd you?
I ordered 25.
So you're going to take them to book signings with you?
Yep. Actually, probably going to try to take them over to the comic book shops and see if they actually want to put a copy in there. and sell it themselves. But yeah, the plan is actually to take it to like my signings and anytime I'm at a show. So like the next show that I'll be at is August 31st. It's called the Friends of the Brothers Boyd uh, convention, I think. Yeah.
Friends of the Brothers Boyd.
So the Brothers Boyd is a YouTube channel, and they're comic book collectors, toy collectors, everything else. So they actually are going to have their own comic book convention, and they invited me as a guest. So I'll go up there Friday night to Havelock, North Carolina, and then I'll stay through Saturday and probably drive back Saturday, like after the show's over. But yeah, they were super cool. They've posted stuff about Zor and different books that I've written. So they've always been super positive about everything that I've done. So I'm very pleased with them. They actually said that they were going to read this on Kindle. So I'm hoping they reviewed this too. But yeah, they've been super positive about things that I've worked on. So the new season of Evil, Tino, if you haven't watched it,
I need to.
it's been really good. And while it still has the one thing in it that I absolutely can't stand about the show, which is the four daughters, they seem to be a much smaller portion of this season. So it's been really good.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
My dad bought all the heart. Hey, little man, I love hearing that. Junior High Horrors obviously is a project that's near and dear to my heart, and at some point, who knows, maybe we'll either see the collected version of it come out with all the behind the scenes stuff, or maybe I'll actually put out another couple of those books. Just got to talk to Eric, the artist, and see what he's thinking.
Junior High.
Because we still have Stonkered, that we have the first issue that I haven't put out anywhere yet, and it's done, it's ready to go. So we just need to find where I'm going to put that one out.
What about your other one?
Which other one?
I'm always scared to say because I don't know if you said it on here or not. The
Died Hard?
Yes.
So it's officially announced. We can talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, we I've got to get the covers in by the end of the month. It will. So Died Hard is my Easter Bunny meets Die Hard. I would call it a parody, but it's not really a parody. It's it's going to stand on its own. But it's basically about the Easter Bunny having to stop a hostage situation in a museum on Easter weekend, and first issue of that, it's going to be a 3-issue series. First issue of that, which is drawn by Jay Hammond, is going to be out in December. So we figured we'd put it out right around the time that Die Hard actually came out, which obviously is a Christmas movie. So we're going to put the first issue of Die Hard out in December, and then second and third issues will be out before Easter, because we want to change the way that you think about Easter. So Peter Cottontail will have his moment in the sun.
I hate when people say Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
But it is a Christmas movie.
I'm not. I'm too tired right now. I'm not doing that argument today. We will have that conversation. I just don't want to do it right now.
I mean, the first song in it is Christmas in Hollis.
Okay.
So, anyways, with that, I have nothing else, Tino.
I'm trying to think.
Yep.
That's all I got. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything that we missed, because we talked about everything I wanted to talk about.
You know what? The only other thing that we haven't talked about that we probably could, and the only reason why I'm even saying it is because it's going to be the outro that I'm playing, is that
there you go. I knew there was something I was missing.
The Motor City Machine Guns. By the way, it has not been officially.
I can't find it anywhere. I only saw where you had that.
So I had seen it online that they were signing with the WWE. The interesting thing about it, and this is why everybody thinks they're WWE bound now, is because they're canceling their indie appearances. And WWE will make you cancel your indie appearances, whereas AEW, obviously, we actually met the Motor City Machine Guns at a DPW show. So if they were actually getting ready to sign with AEW, they'd probably still be allowed to do those shows. whereas they actually said this is probably their farewell tour of indie shows.
And now
So
that makes sense.
and it everything that I'm reading about it says that it sounds like they're more interested in going to WWE under Triple H. So it'll be interesting. And honestly, I think that if they went to AEW, they
Get lost in the shuffle.
They get a quick run, and then they get lost in the shuffle of the tag team division, and they would just job to the Bucks,
Young Bucks.
Yeah. So I think you and I are in agreement on that.
All right, that's what I got.
All right. Well, if that's what you got, and that's what I had, folks, our theme song is always by Adam's House Cats, called "The Wrestling Song." It's available on iTunes.
9-9.
Uh,
Thank you, Chris Bear. Chris Bear agrees with me.
You can follow Tino on Instagram at SCTino.
Tino.
You can follow him on X or Twitter at
HootieFan91.
You can follow him on TikTok at Tino Gray Music. You can follow me on Instagram at Rob Pochak or Rob Potsy Pochak. You can follow me on Twitch at Rob Potsy Pochak. You can follow me on TikTok, Rob Potsy Pochak. And of course, we ask that you like and subscribe to the show. Let's
buy our shit.
Let's see if we can get it to do it. There it goes. Yeah, we want a little of these.
I might be too. Nope, there it is.
There they go. So if you can, give us a like and subscribe. If you're watching on Twitch, just go ahead and like the videos. Really appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much for all the feedback and everything. Take a look at Are You Sure You Want to Make Comics? Available on Amazon. Just go search my name, Rob Pochak. It comes right up. It really does help you with making decisions about making comics. And with that, Tino, I am done. I am ready to go. And let's say hello to the Motor City Machine Guns.
Motor.
Ready? Motor City Machine Guns, Potsy and Tino.
For the Potsy and Tino show.
Thanks for watching.